Our chapter,
This meeting is being recorded.
our chapter meets on the first Monday of each month. The meetings start at 6:30 and they are 1 hour long. We always have wonderful speakers. Like tonight, you'll see Kimberley Yancy. Uh, so we have wonderful speakers. We, as I said, we always meet on the first Monday of the month from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Now, for tonight's speaker, Kimberly Yancy, was born in Texas City, and in I'm not going to mention the date. By way of Austin, Texas, Kimberly has a heart of true Texan woman. In 1995, graduate of the University of Texas at Austin. By the way, while we were waiting, we also found out that she's a graduate of Clear Lake High School right here in our neighborhood. She's got a degree in government from UT Austin. She presently holds the mantle of the first African American woman to be elected to a district council seat in the history of Lamar, Texas. Known for being able to deliver the work by working to enhance the community, Kimberly also serves as the Education State Chair for the NAACP Texas State Conference, where she travels, listens to concerns, and strives to bring viable solutions. She is the lead founder of the historic Malcolm X Lounge at UT Austin and helped to charter the New Vision Baptist Church in Dickinson, Texas. She's a master networker and loves to talk about business and is a serial entrepreneur. She writes under the pen name of Mikasi Noja and wrote the book Confessions of a Preacher's Wife under the Urban Books imprint. She is married to Pastor C.L. Yancey for 28 years, and together they share 4 children and 3 grandchildren. A certified teacher and licensed minister and chaplain, she leads the New Vision Alive Community Development Corporation, which strives to help families towards self-sufficiency. A proud member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, her mantra is, "For with God, nothing shall be impossible." Luke 137. So please join me in welcoming Kimberly Yancy. The title of her topic is Tex, let's see what just happened. Anti-black legislation in Texas. Go ahead, Kimberly. It's all yours.
Yeah, hello everyone. So good to be back in Clear Lake area, a place where I've learned many things. I left Dickinson in the 6th grade and went to Clear Lake Intermediate 6th grade and graduated from Clear Lake. So there's a lot of history every time I go down Bay Area Boulevard and Space Center and all of that. So when you said Meadow Green earlier, I was like, yes. So good to be among like minds and people, people in Clear Lake, because we grew up around NASA, right? So we believe we're the smartest, the best, the astronauts, and engineers, all of that. So I said that's the flavor of Clear Lake, right? So it's good to be with all of you. There is so much happening. First of all, thank you so much, Bob, for calling me. I enjoy talking to you as well. And there is a lot happening in the great state of Texas. A lot of things that I hope to inform you about and also alarm you, because I don't think we talk about it enough, about what's going on. Amnesty International is something that it's all about freedom. It's all about helping people come together and promoting what is freedom. And freedom oftentimes, many times, is redefined. And so we still have to make sure that we lead that argument about what is freedom. So, and that challenge is being challenged to us as people of color right here in America, as we are facing an anti-Black legislation that is happening not only in Texas, but in Florida as well. I bring you greetings from the NAACP, where I serve as the Education State Chair. Just came back from Boston, Massachusetts, as we celebrate our 114th convention there, and all eyes are on Texas. So I want to just bring up our PowerPoint really fast for you. And I hope everyone can see it. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I put in the chat a very good article that came out yesterday by some colleagues of mine talking about the insurrection of education in Texas. So this tells you a little bit about me, and there's a reason why I have that camouflage cape on. So that's to say we are at battle. We're at war for the soul of America, for our democracy. So he's already gone over that, and that just tells you a little bit about me right there. And this is about Texas. When I was sitting in a room in October of 2022 and listening to the Texas economist Ray Perryman, said that Texas is now 54% majority minority states with Latino, Blacks, and non-whites. So Texas now has more African Americans in Texas than any other state in America. Texas has the 9th largest economy in the world. So our economy is about the same size as Russia. But you know, even though we have a large economy, Latinos only own 5.6% of the wealth of Texas, and African Americans only own 1.8% of that wealth. So the question I have at the bottom is, well, what is academia if people don't have access to capital and wealth? That's a question that we have to ask ourselves. And are we breeding the ground of revolution when people, now that access to education is being challenged? And we'll talk about that as well, because I want to leave it open for questions and answers. So this is from 2013, but this still rings true, that white high school dropouts are wealthier than Black and Hispanic college graduates in America. The unemployment rate for Black Americans was 9.7 in April of 2023. That's pretty high. For white Americans, it was right at 6.3. So there's a problem going on when it comes to income equity in America as well. And that's a chart that tells you can see the difference, white, Black, and Hispanic, and how that gap has just gotten wider and wider. So Senate Bill 17 and 18 were the two bills that came through in the House, the anti-DEI and anti-tenure bills that cut right at the heart of any semblance of affirmative action in employment and censored academic speech. These were bills that we fought hard against. We knew they were coming. When I was appointed in 21 to become the educational state chair, Gary Bledsoe, who's our state president, knew that education was going to be a huge target. And there were over 50 bills at least in the House that was introduced to basically gut affirmative action within education. Heritage Charter Program, which is a charter program that pretty much glamorizes the Confederacy, had been trying to get schools, their charter schools approved the last 3 years, and were unsuccessful. This time, because they helped to get certain people elected to the State Board of Education, they were successful. We are very concerned about their changing of history and how they're not being inclusive of everyone, especially when I've just told you the stats that Texas is now a majority minority state, and we need to make sure that we include everyone's history in that. So if we come back to Senate Bill 1750, that abolished the Harris County Elections Administration's Office. There is an outright target on the backs of cities like Dallas, Houston, and even Austin, where you have a lot of people of more of a liberal background. And this will allow the Texas Secretary of State to impose administrative oversight of the county's elections. And that, we believe, will disenfranchise the Black and brown voters in Houston, which is a majority minority city. These bills are basically meant to strip up of our voting rights. They are meant to dilute our voting power. This is not just happening in Texas, but it's also happening in Mississippi, as their states legislature has put appoint a person over the city of Jackson. And so basically they are dismantling the democratically elected people in power. That is always a problem when that begins to happen. And again, the PowerPoint is not long, so I want to make sure you have your questions. We're going to talk about them, but this is an example of anti-Black legislation. The question is asked, what just happened? What is happening? What is happening? Same game, new name. So another example is the Houston ISD hostile takeover. Duly elected persons have been ousted from the school board with appointees handpicked by unelected personnel. I want you to think about that. If CCISD, if someone would come and say, your entire board that you elected is no longer, and we're going to choose your persons for you, how would you feel? This is what is happening to one of the largest school districts, not in our state, but in the nation, where democratically elected persons were ousted. Libraries are now being converted to detention ponds without research or primary research to know what will work or what won't work. There are no stats. We have been asking for those. We've been saying, what is a reason for this? What are you doing? And it's almost as if the children of HISD will be used as a sort of guinea pig experiment. We're really concerned about this. So educated brain power is being chased out of HISD due to one school performing low, which now is costing an entire school district. It seems very planned and orchestrated for this to be done. And they are refusing, hear me well, to meet with NAACP state officers or partner with people of color. We have asked, I have sent emails, I have called, and Superintendent Miles has refused to return my calls or emails. And the question we just want to ask, and we have legitimate questions, is what is your plan? What is your comprehensive plan to take over one of the largest school districts in the nation? And what will be your data and your deliverables, and what are you basing it upon? And so far, we've only received silence. House Bill 3 and House Bill 1605, this bill is titled as a school safety bill. It did pass, that requires the presence of police or other armed personnel on each school campus. So this is a concern because a lot of times people of color are over-policed. And now this bill will say you have to have armed people. Fortunately, most schools have this already, but there are many schools who don't, okay? And I put a link here for some of that testimony. So House Bill 1605, it allows for significant funding for districts to use instructional materials that we approved by the State of Education. And this bill requires all approved to, let me get back up, materials that will be approved by the State Board of Education. This bill requires all approved materials to enforce erasure of the prohibited concepts from the sexist censorship bill, meaning topics related to race, oppression, and the origins of true history of slavery, among other items. So they're basically coming to censure teachers, and that does not promote academic freedom. So that talks about those two House bills. So the anti-voting bills, we talked about how Texas is restricting the vote, whereas California is making voting easier, by mailing ballots to every voter. That is not happening in Texas. Governor Abbott signed into law, this is about a year ago, a bill that bans 24-hour drive-through voting. We can't do that anymore. And new hurdles for mail-in ballots. And we have seen that it has impacted people of color more so than others. So Texas is becoming a place where it's harder to vote than it is in other places. And some people may say, I can't believe this is happening, but it is happening. And if you're not saying anything about it, then you're part of it as well. So it is happening. It's no different from when people would have to walk up and you would have to guess how many gumballs were in the jar. It's the same type of old game, new name. Okay, so And this is, and then what's happening in my county, Galveston County, is gerrymandering. We are now in the middle of a redistricting court case right now, where the people of color, our voice has been diluted purposefully. We are very concerned about that as well. So what has this caused as a result of all of this that is happening in our nation, in Texas and Florida? It's caused anxiety and anger in our community, uncertainty. People don't know how to interpret it. This is what happened when it came to the UT professors who was offered a position at Texas A&M. This is a result of DEI, the Senate 17 and 18. It's a dog whistle to get rid of African-American employees and their interests. On the day that affirmative action died, I received 2 calls from 2 African-American businessmen who they had their business in a place, and the owner of the business just came and said, "I'm not going to renew your lease." And they had 5-year leases, and they were only on year 1.5. And so there are things that are happening as a result of this dog whistle. I've already talked to you earlier about, even though affirmative action is gone as we know it, African Americans have been dominated economically. We only own 1.8%. Texas only did less than 2.5% of all of its business with people of African American descent. There is much work to be done. And so to actually get rid of that, what's going to happen? Who do we trust? What do we think that may happen? So African Americans are being looked at the bottom of the barrel, or the permanent underclass in America, in order for capitalism to work. And that's a concern for us, as a huge concern. It's as if our citizenship does not matter if the opportunity never shows itself. And so these are some resources I put down that as well about what the new education laws mean for Texas, our state education policy impact, and the tracker that came through as well. And these are some older resources that we were using during the last session. There's a very good book by Dean Leslie Fenwick out of Howard University. It's called Jim Crow's Pink Slip, and how a lot of educated African Americans are being chased out of education as they were in the 40s, and then as they were in the 70s as well. And that trend is happening again as you see the HISD takeover. I encourage you all to read her book. It has done very well, and she does a very good job explaining what is happening in education when every 40 years America is draining our brain groups and not allowing our children to get to them. So I think it's very interesting to see what she mentions in her book about the cycle that happens to African American education in America. So that is all I have for the PowerPoint. I'm going to leave it open for questions and answers. I will share with you a personal story, because I think people don't know, but being the first African American woman to represent a district in my city, it has brought on a very racist group that I have had to report to the police on a regular basis for the last 2 years. I've never dealt with anything so incessant and so daily from a group of people that they haven't been in the area. They've been in Texas probably less than maybe 12 years or less, but they're coming from that far right. People of color should not be in power. They use words like she's a thug, she's corrupt, she's this. Didn't do anything, just woke up a Black woman. My dog was poisoned. My family has been targeted. I'm the mother of 3 African-American boys. They have been targeted. My husband's church has been targeted. We've had strangers to come and seemingly case our church. I don't know what is happening in America, but something is happening. And it's something I think it's time for us to expose, because I think we want to believe that this does not happen in America anymore, but it does. And it's happening right here in Lamar, Texas, to some of our Black elected officials, some of us more so than others, because people like me, I'm going to stand for democracy. I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure that people know that I believe a representative form of government is the best form of government. And I think that she's worth protecting. And because of that, I do not apologize for being an American. I believe I was born here. It is my birthright, and I don't have to ask you for anything. It belongs to me. And so because I stand boldly with my American citizenship, I think it makes people uncomfortable. But I will not apologize for loving my country. And I will not apologize for fighting for my country. But there are some people in America who don't want people that look like me to do well here. But I am determined to be steady and stay the course. Every time I think about giving up, I think about that young girl that's coming behind me, whatever race she is. But to know that as a woman in America, we do have a voice and we should stand. But I would not be honest if I didn't tell you, it's been very scary. It's been very difficult to get texts sent to your children that they're coming to your home, and you know your mother's at home by herself and you're out of town, out of state. Your car license being put all over the web, your social security number, your phone numbers, all over the web, people putting ransoms on your head that if you have any information that'll lead to her arrest, I will pay you $25,000. That happened. I mean, it has been brutal, but it has been worth it. So with that, I want to open it up for any questions that you may have about this anti-Black legislation and the climate that many of us we have to exist in order to, to live out our purpose. But it is happening in America where people of color are being ostracized. We are being ridiculed and made fun of. And though that may come with the territory, but your First Amendment right does not give you the right to terrorize my family or even to finance my terror. But I will not finance my oppression. And if they are doing that, we're going to call you out. So that's some of the things that we are dealing with as a result of this anti-Black legislation. We believe that there are certain elements in our society that has legitimized these thoughts, and some of the people that are thinking it are now trying to manifest it so that we can actually feel it. So it's no longer covert, it is overt. But again, we are determined to stand strong, and we will continue to do the work to make sure that our country remains number one. So with that, I'll open it up.
So the way way we do it is whoever wants to ask a question, unmute yourself, ask the question and mute yourself and let Kimberly respond to you, and then we'll just keep on doing that until we run out of time. This is a very, very important topic, and I'm sure you all have lots of questions. So go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
Can I go first? Because I was polite enough to raise my hand.
Okay, all right, sure.
So Kimberly, thank you for the work you're doing, for the strength you're displaying. How can I help? How can I help you? How can I help the cause?
In my faith, we have a saying that our prayers can go places our hands can't go. I need you to pray. But I also want you to get involved with groups like Amnesty International and just call it out. We do need to document this time of history. I am a writer, so I do believe we need to journal and let people know what is happening during this time. I think this is going to be a time where our grandchildren will wonder, what did we do during this time? So I want to say definitely do that, but also vote. That's the biggest thing. We have to get people registered to vote and actually vote and let people know what is our democracy. I think we're in a redefining moment about what democracy means to the average American. So to you, I would say vote, get more people to vote, and also expose the things that do not uphold our democracy. We have a lot of things that, this hostile climate is impacting how we care for people, how we love people. Our prison systems are they say some of them are at the worst right now, and that's because we've been so hostile towards each other. It's been hard to be compassionate to others. And so what I would say is we do need to slow down, but we do need to get more involved and care more about what people are dealing with. Listen more.
Anyone else have any questions for, oh, there's Bob, there's Louisa.
Yes. Kimberly, would you tell us a little bit about the work NAACP is doing in the Bay Area? And also, you know, Florida has decided they don't want to teach Black history. And for the rest of you, I've been reading so much about Black heroes in history. I've read so many books, it's not funny. And so is that being taught? Are y'all doing something about making sure that your history is going forward? Are you teaching that? What's going on there?
So Bob, so our State Board of Education, they did a lot of work to include more people of color in our history curriculums in the state of Texas. Unfortunately, it was not accepted this last summer. And so we're having to find other ways to include our history. So the answer to that is no. Our children in Texas do not learn a lot other than Martin Luther King. There's not, and I'm a history certified teacher, so I know what they're learning. And this last year, our teachers worked really hard, our work groups, to include more people of color as a result of Texas becoming more diverse and just finding out more about our history that was not included in the past for whatever reason. And so because of groups like Moms of Liberty, a Patriot group, they fought back on that, Bob. And so some of that did not get included. So what we're doing now is getting ready for to vote and getting people, basically getting people to push it forward. Now, the NAACP, what we're doing is trying to get our schools, our charter schools and our Sunday schools and our groups outside of the public classroom to be more inclusive. But it's sad that Texas children are not allowed to know more about people that look like him. The history is definitely there, but Texas right now, the people that that are in charge now, they don't want to include that. But what we're doing is we are pushing forward, working with people like Aisha Davis, who has been a stalwart. She's a State Board of Education Representative 13. She has worked very, very hard for the African-American programs. There are some schools who still have African-American history classes. Dickinson ISD is one school district in Galveston County that has that curriculum. And that is a state approved curriculum. So we are trying to protect that and push that in hopes that that won't be destroyed through this anti-CRT legislation that's trying to get rid of those type of curriculums like African-American history and Mexican-American history. So that's we're doing our best to protect those curriculums.
Louisa?
Yes, with respect to the harassment that you're experiencing, just kind of a two-part question. First, have you brought that to the attention of the feds, the Department of Justice, or any federal, policing
Yes,
agency
ma'am.
to know what you're?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I believe in all three branches of government.
Yeah.
And we have turned them all on to it. They know about it. They are monitoring it. Thank you for asking. The Texas Rangers are the ones who actually protect elected officials. They are aware of it and are monitoring it. I do have a Rule 11 agreement with one of them, and we're hoping that it will hold. If not, then we'll be back in court. I'm very serious about loving my country and loving the law.
Right.
And so we have used the law to protect us. Unfortunately, there are some criminal-minded people that don't want to follow the law, but I have used all levels. I've heard that DC is aware of what's happening in our small town of Lamarck, Texas.
Good.
And we've in the midst of all of that, the good news is that we had more progress in our little city in the last 2.5 years than we had probably in the last 12 years. So progress is still going. Sometimes that type of heat makes you work harder. At least for me, it does.
Yeah.
So but yes, ma'am, we have notified all three levels, and they are aware.
And my second part of that question is, has have you had the opportunity to bring this to the attention of media? Because I mean, I know there's sympathetic media sources in Houston that would probably love to publicize it. And of course, I'm not there, so it may have already
Yeah.
been publicized, but I'm just wondering about that exposure.
You know, there are some people who really want a stage to become local martyrs of such, and I'm not willing to share that stage sometimes. And if I could deal with it quietly with the use of the law, that's what I've tried to do. I think their time will come where it may go to national media. I think this is a part of it, because I wouldn't talk this much about it, but I think it's necessary, because I was told, well, we might just have to wait till someone gets hurt, and I don't want to wait for anybody to get hurt at all. But I think it's important that people know the seriousness of what's happening when you can meet real life people who are dealing with the racism, who are dealing with the danger, and so that you can know this is America, this is serious. There are people that want to go to war over our democracy for whatever reason, and they're going after certain people that are easy breezy targets, right? I mean, I'm the educational state chair. I represent my city, and I'm pretty vocal, right? And so some of that comes with the territory, right, of standing. But at the same time, I am going to use the law to protect me. But I think a day will come when we will take it that level. I don't want to hurt my city, right? I want to make sure that my city is known for being the peaceful place and the place of prosperity that it is. And I don't want it to something other than something come from somewhere else and change that. So I'm very careful about what I do with that, because a lot of these people, they want stages, and I'm the star of my show, right? You know?
Well, it also seems kind of clear that what you all are experiencing and what people are experiencing across the state is also part of the national effort to undermine and eliminate public education, which, as we all know, is one of the basic tenets of our democracy. So everywhere
Right.
you look, albeit bilingual ed or African-American history, or
Right.
any immigration or cultural education is verboten. And I really think that we are under terrible threat for just getting rid of public education.
We are. I
Very
totally
scary.
agree. We are more intelligent now, but we haven't found a way to be more inclusive, as we should, right? We should be able to, especially with digitized media, the way kids learn now, we should be able to include all of us. But you're right, public education is under attack. I'm a big advocate of an NAACP. We're big advocates of public education, because that type of education touches everyone. I think there's a danger when we become too elitist, too elitist, so to speak, and then we forget about the kiddos who just all they need is opportunity. That's all they need is a chance, and that's what makes our country so amazing. It's because you can be born broke and die a millionaire, right? And so we've got to make sure that those opportunities still exist, and education is the great equalizer in America. We've got to protect that at all costs.
Okay, next is Roger, followed by Julie. So Roger, can you ask your question, please? Roger. All right, Julie, you want to ask your question, and then we'll go back to Roger. Julie. Hello, Julie.
Julie needs to unmute if she's
Yeah.
there.
All right, Julie, go ahead.
See.
Unmute.
Okay. Hi, this
there
is
we go.
Julie. I'm with Amnesty Houston. And the question I wanted to ask, and you sort of answered it already, but my representative is one of the good guys. He's Al Green.
Yeah.
Aside from voting, is there an effective way of approaching our legislators or our, political leaders? I've sort of given up on the Republican ones, like contacting our senators, obviously, but is there anyone that you think we could contact through letter writing or phone calls, and that you think we should focus on, and what should we focus on?
Opportunity and access. I think that's that's the biggest thing that we need out there. Crichton is a big one in education. He's done a lot as far as writing, and Senator Mays Middleton has done a lot when it comes to the education and reforming it, so to speak. Letter writing, propaganda. There is not, in my opinion, enough propaganda to defend what is public education and what are we protecting. Everyone talks about what they're taking away, but why should it remain? And I don't see enough of that. We've got to get off the defense and get on the offense to say why education is beautiful in America. Why is public education beautiful? And if it's not beautiful, why isn't? I mean, we know years back, the way the education is funded in Texas was ruled unconstitutional, and no one did anything about it. Nothing changed. It was so we have definitely left a void there. I know Al Green, he is a beast when it comes to getting the word out and boycotting and protesting. But the vote is what happened to us in the last 6 years, is that we did not come out and vote. And because of that, there are people who have now taken that opportunity to redefine what education is. It was very hard for me to sit next to Moms of Liberty and hear them say, we don't care about slavery. That doesn't even matter. That doesn't, as if it had nothing to do with Jim Crow, has nothing to do with where people are today. We have to be very careful, because the people that get to write history are the ones that control, the path of the future, right? And so to say that racism doesn't exist, or to say that, they just don't have the ability, and that's what young people sometimes will think, but because of the racist stereotypes that we can see. It's very important that we have a say in the narrative. If not, then there will be fools who determine that. And I don't want anyone telling me who I am. I need to be the one telling that story, right? And so many times there are people that don't look like me. Let me say this, I am a 51-year African-American woman, and racism is traumatic. What it does to your soul, what it does to your spirit. And it's not something that is easy to even talk about because it's so painful. And I think that's why sometimes there's a silence, because it's like, are we still talking about this? Is this still an issue? But if you look at power is all about, I wake up Black every day. I can't change that. So it's easy for you to talk about my Blackness because it's something that I can't change. So sometimes, is it truly racism, or is it really about power? And if we're going to be a country that is all about power, not fairness and equality, which is what I thought America is about, then we need to go back to the basic and see, are we truly the land of opportunity, or are we the land where only certain people can make it if you look a certain way? So when you ask me what do we do, I think we need to be bold about this. We need to talk to everyone, Democrat, Republican. We need to talk to everyone and talk to their soul. These are people that grew up with people of color, most of them. They grew up in integration. So is it about race, or is it about power? And that's a question that we as Americans need to ask ourselves, to say, let's be honest about it. What is this really about? And I don't think sometimes we're ready for that. But I think that's a question that is time for us to ask.
Okay. Here, Roger, are you back? If you are, could you ask your question now?
Roger, are you listening?
Okay. All right. We'll go to the next one. Who has a question for Kimberly next? We have time for a couple more questions, and then we'll have Bob do his thing.
Well, one quick question I have.
Can you hear me now?
How many?
Can you hear me now?
There we are.
Yes,
We can hear you.
yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Roger.
All right. You guys, I gotta apologize. I have my tablet and my phone. I was only able to get on by my phone. And then when I got to the house, I opened my tablet up, and then I realized my tablet doesn't have a phone on it. So when you asked me to talk the first time, I was pushing the button on the tablet. So sorry about that. All right. So
All right.
all this technology. All right. What I want to ask, and first of all, Ms. Yancy, it's a pleasure to meet you and meet a Delta. My wife's a Delta. Been married to her for 44 years.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to let that get. I just want to get that out. Okay, she married an alpha man. Okay, so
Okay.
so all right. So I was listening when I was driving back to the house, and some of the things that you were talking about affirmative action. That's been a battle for the longest. You could have the academics. And if you went to a certain school and you had the academics, say like Purview A&M, and then tried to apply to a PhD at Texas A&M, they're going to question that student from Purview compared to a student who went to Austin who had a low GPA and he or she got accepted because it was the school. Okay, that's all before we get to the opportunity as far as the race of the person. So, because I saw that firsthand, and when I was dealing with academia, and as far as trying to get students in, say for example from Purview to certain schools, the comment that you made about your blackness, I like that. Because I've been a black man for 67 years, and so as far as people trying to with racist attitudes that are still prevalent today, it just blows my mind. And with that joker who's up on charges right now, if that was President Obama, they would already have him in jail. So you look at opportunities. We don't have to. You can see that in plain sight. If we can appreciate our fellow man, take away the color, just appreciate our fellow man and get to know the person on a personal basis, that works. But then also it's the fear of coming out. Say, for example, if you're in politics, it's the fear because you don't want to lose your vote. People sacrifice for this country in uniform every day. They sacrifice, and they realize they don't care about Republican or Democrat. They only care about getting the job done. Okay? And politicians, they just trying to stay in their job. People in uniform sacrifice every day. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Just so
Roger.
you know, my dad is an Omega and my mom's a Delta. So that's all I knew.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let me ask you. Hey,
Sure.
and I want to appreciate Iron Man and Bob for contact letting me know. I forgot all about this meeting. If it wasn't for Bob today calling me, I wouldn't have even been here. So I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. But I want to let you know, if you have an opportunity, we would love to have you come to the Bay Area New Democrats to come and speak at our club meeting down off Natural Road 1. So if you're interested, are you in Leaks? Lamar?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know Wesley Jackson?
Yes, I do. Yes,
That's my cousin.
Okay.
That's my cousin. All right. So that's my cousin.
Yeah.
So I just want, So we would love to have you come to one of our meetings. So if you're available.
Hey, Roger, I will invite Kimberly to the next band meeting because the keynote speaker is Sheila Jackson Lee.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Sheila Jackson.
Kimberly, I will send you all the information about the next band meeting, which is on August 15th.
Okay,
August
sure.
15th.
I know.
Yeah.
I used to work with Representative Al Edwards, so I know Representative Sheila Jackson Lee very well. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome,
Well,
awesome.
good.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you.
Are there any more questions?
So I have another one, if you don't mind. How large is your NAACP chapter in the Bay Area?
In the Bay Area, I think right now, it goes up and down. I think we're right at about 75 right now. Our goal is always 100. Normally we fluctuate between 50 and 75
Okay.
members. You have to have 50 members to be a compliant chapter. So it's always from 50 to about 75.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And
So
we would love to have all of you. We would love to have all of you. Our unit wrote the NAACP manifesto that was in Galveston Daily newspaper about 2 or 3 years ago. We're very active. We led a lot of the George Floyd marches of 2020. If we didn't lead them, we were advising them behind the scenes. So we're a very, very active unit, the Dixon Bay Area unit.
all right. Okay. So we come to this portion of our program where we actually Bob does the raffle, draws a name of among all the attendees to whoever he pulls the name out wins a gift card to Brazos bookstore.
Oh.
Mohammed.
Yes, Roger.
Hey, do I get two? Because I'm on my phone plus my tablet.
Nice try.
You know what? Roger. Welcome back. We missed you, so I will leave it up to Bob to give one to you and one to your wife. How's that?
Okay, all right.
Okay, there we go.
All right,
We'll there we are. I will do that. So I can be bought. I don't know if I have you in our list, but I've got it now. So, all right. So what I do, I put this above my head and I move all these things around. I have no idea what I'm doing. All right. I've got somebody. Wow. I got two at one time. There we go. Let's see what I have here. Andrea. I got to put my glasses on. I wrote it down, but I can't read it. Andrea Dunn? Andrea Dunn? Is she already gone?
I don't see her.
All right, she was on here. All right, let's do it again.
Okay.
All right, got another one. Don Rohr, he's not here, so let's try it again.
He's not here.
There we are.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Douglas Yazell.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Okay, good. We've got a winner.
So Douglas, it's a $10 gift card from Brazos bookstore. I will call them tomorrow and tell them who the winner is, and you can either go there in person or call and order whatever you want from the bookstore and have it shipped.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thank you.
And thank you for joining tonight. We appreciate you. Yes.
Mohammed,
Yes.
I'm brand new to the group. I have come and joined because a dear friend of mine from the Netherlands is active with the organization, and it makes sense to me. I wonder if several of your people might just take 1 or 2 sentences to tell me why they've joined with Amnesty International. That okay?
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine. Bob, do you want to just Bob or Louisa? I'll just let you take a minute or two to let her know why you support Amnesty International. Just make it 1 or 2 minutes max.
Louisa, why don't you start?
Well, I joined Amnesty because I have great friends. I have great friends in Clear Lake, and after working at JSC for 25 years, I was lucky enough to meet these folks, and it's people like Mohammed and Ruth and Bob Tomlinson and Doug, and all the folks who worked on many campaigns in the past. But I think the real reason why I joined is because my dad walked across the river from Mexico, from Zacatecas, Mexico, about 100 years ago. And he made a life for us here, and I had a wonderful childhood. And then once I entered college, my eyes opened and I realized that I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore. And I see too many injustices, and it's gone worse and worse and worse, particularly now with associated with, you know, things like undermining public education, what's happening at the border. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I'm speaking to the choir here, but that's why I joined. I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's why. Bob.
Yeah, Mohammed and I, we've worked together for years, and without going into too much detail, and I agree with what Louise has said, but without going into too much details, I hate bullies. I do not like people with the arrogance to be able to think that they can tell us what we should think and do and what have you, and where you should go. That's not America, and I can't take it. And I'm like Louisa, I'm not taking it anymore. So, but Louisa, Muhammad, Ruth, Leslie, a lot of us, we have marched, we have chanted. There's nothing that I don't think we haven't done. We registered voters, knocked on doors, and what have you. And that's the driving force. Listen, I grew up in the deep South. I grew up with my family and all. They were segregationists and what have you. So I'm evolving. I'm still evolving. But the people I grew up with were not what I would call mean. They just believed in segregation. But then I have really come across some really mean-spirited people, and I don't like that. And so Leslie can tell you, yeah, I'm kind of outspoken about that. I'm not putting up with it. So I'm not passive a lot of times. So there you go. But thank you. I appreciate you, Kimberly, for coming on.
Hey, Evie, we would love to have you attend our future meeting. So I put my email address in the chat. Send me an email. I'll add you to our distribution list.
Great.
And you will get maximum 2 emails per month. Just letting you about the meeting. Our next meeting is normally we meet on the first Monday of the month, but 4th of September, which is the first Monday, is Labor Day. So we are going to meet on September 11th. And our speaker, another great speaker, you know, just like what we have tonight, we have the education chairman of the National LULAC Foundation, Isidro Garza, and he is going to be talking. The title of his talk is Conscience or Convenience. And it will be September 11th, Monday, same time. We open the Zoom doors at 6 p.m. and the meeting is from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. So please put it on your calendars. And you know, LULAC has some excellent speakers. So I've talked to Isidro many times, and he is eager to talk to our chapter and tell us what LULAC does and what is going on in Texas as well as in the rest of the country as far as the Hispanic community goes.
And I want to say another word, because we've got a lot of new people that have joined us tonight. Don't let this be the last time. Come back time after time, month after month, and join our group. I don't know if we talked about it, but our dues are $20 per individual and $30 for a family. If you're a student, I don't know if I guess the closest thing we have to a student is Carter, and it'll be so you'd be $15. But this is important, and we're planning on doing things at the colleges and what have you. This coming into the fall and all. So you know, be sure to support us and keep coming back. If nothing else, tune in on some of these broadcasts that we have on Zoom. Thank you for tuning in tonight.
And yeah, I want to thank Kimberly for taking time. I know, I mean, just reading your bio. You're a busy person. So thank you so much for taking time to come and talk to us. And I look forward to working with you on future projects, okay? Because you live right here in
Yeah.
Lamar, which is not too far away.
Yeah.
And we will partner some events with you.
Thank you. I do have some friends that are on. PJ, Terry Pettijohn is on. He wanted to say something in the chat. PJ, do you want to say it while we're about what you saw? I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we
Go ahead.
had a lady that discovered a message on a bridge that goes over the bayou that said "Vax the Jews," and so it's been there's things starting to pop up.
Mhm.
Wow.
All of a sudden, and that's in the city of Lamar. It was at a bridge, and so we just have to be mindful, but and prayerful, of course. But we did report it. She did report it to the authorities. But to you all, I just want to say before we go, thank you for loving me as an American. It really, really means a great deal. Thank you so much, Bob. Especially Bob, talking to you.
Hey, and I want to say I'm proud to say that I helped get Kim Yancy elected.
He
There you
did.
All right.
He did, for sure. Yeah. But thank you for your love. It really shows. And that's, I told my husband, I said, I think right now our world just needs more love. There's a lack of nurturing, and it's time out for all this hate. We've got to be very intentional about loving our friends and saying you matter to me. And that's why I felt today, just by you listening to what I had to say, that in itself means a lot. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
all.
you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Mohammed and Bob,
Yeah.
can you stand for a second? I just read the article from Lena Hidalgo. Have you seen it?
Well, I
Yes.
started to, but I didn't get a chance to finish.
Yeah.
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 Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,